Hello, beautiful creatures of my world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It's a gorgeous day here in the far north of Maine, up along the Canadian border. We're in a little bit of a warming spree here. Don't worry, it's not going to last. In the Crown of Maine, I hope everybody is having a beautiful day wherever you might be. We're having a day filled with fabulosity and dang good coffee, because we deserve dang good coffee to get through our day. We actually do deserve it. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of my world, something amazing has happened. We were talking last week about the Whitakers and the mess that Eric, Carroll, and Patrick Roark got the Whitakers in. The Whitakers were taken by Adult Protective Services, Lorraine, Timmy, and Ray, and the family was broken up, and then the homes on the property were condemned, so Betty and Larry had nowhere to go, so they went and stayed with Patrick, and people spoke out. You see, there were channels, and it looks like there are allegedly a few channels that were started to get some bank off the Whitakers. Eric and Patrick came across, allegedly, this is true crime now, they came across that they were doing everything for the family, that new homes were going to be built, a new home was going to be built for the family, the money was going to the family, the merchandise was going to the family, and they were using handicapped people for content. This is what evil YouTubers do. They go in and they search for content where they have no business creating content. And then when they don't get their way, they throw a temper tantrum. And it kind of looks like that's what Eric has done. He didn't quite get his way in a few aspects. So no house, no this, no that. All the promises left unfulfilled. And he got Adult Protection Services involved to the point where the family is broken up and the property has been condemned. And so half the family's been removed. The other half of the family was made homeless. These are people in their 70s, in their 60s, in their 50s that now no longer have anywhere to go. They've had their life destroyed by a temper tantrum. And Eric Carroll went back to Georgia and he's washed his hands of the whole situation. Except YouTube subscribers got pissed. They wanted to know where their donations went. They wanted to know what happens to the money. They want to know what is going to happen with the big YouTube check that is coming off of the Whitaker family channel, Eric's channel, allegedly. Gotta put out all the bells and whistles here. Allegedly, on the 22nd or 23rd of September, in just a few days, YouTube is going to issue out a payday on the Whitaker family channel and all the other YouTube channel and Facebooky channels that these people have monetized, and these people being now suspects: Lawerence, Eric, Carroll, and John Patrick Roark. Let me read a little bit to you. The West Virginia State Police is now involved. The Beckley Detachment of the West Virginia State Police is asking for the public's help. That's you. If you have donated, if you have given anything, sent gifts, anything for the Whitaker family, and you have sent them to Eric or Patrick, you need to contact the Beckley Detachment of the West Virginia State Police. You need to get a hold of Corporal Gillickson at 304-256-6700. We'll visit that number again later on in today's episode. The West Virginia State Police are asking for your help in an investigation involving the Whitaker family. The West Virginia State Police are investigating a fraud scheme that involves money and merchandise being sent to the Whitaker family. The money was being sent from two suspects. You can go all look it all up. It's all over the Google. 41-year-old Lawerence Eric Carroll of Georgia and 41-year-old John Patrick Roark of Odd. If you, my viewers, if you know any other viewers that have been on the Whitaker family YouTube page, on the Facebooks, and you see in the comments that they've sent this and they've sent that, please put a comment on a reply to them stating that the West Virginia State Police are investigating Eric Carroll and John Roark for a fraud scheme, Patrick Roark for a fraud scheme. They want to know where the money is. The police want to know where the money is. And you are going to contact Corporal Gillickson at area code 304-256-6700. That's 304-256-6700. Because the police need to tally up the money. They need to tally up, so you got to call them up and they're going to ask you all kinds of questions, and probably for digital receipts that you actually sent the amount of money to help the Whitakers that you sent, and they're going to tally it all up. And right now, it's an investigation with suspects. People care. People care about the Whitakers. My heart breaks for the Whitakers. I've been following the Whitakers for a few years on YouTube. Like I said in my last video, I was introduced to the Whitakers by Mark Leda, and I later did find a documentary that was done on the Whitakers back in, this was years ago, so I can't remember the day. I think it was 2004, or it was either 2004, 2006, or 2008. There was a documentary made on the Whitaker family, and that coined them as the most inbred family in America. So you can go Google all that and look that documentary up. There was a stretch there between 2004 and 2008 where a lot of really neat documentaries came out. Grey Gardens, if you remember that. Jackie Bouvier Kennedy's aunt and her cousin that had the home Grey Gardens in New York, and how the Bouvier family kind of ostracized them and they lived in squalor. So there was a whole time period for about 4 years that a lot of documentaries were made documenting people's lives. There was an interest coming about in that era. I've always been a people watcher, so I've always been interested in people. So I would come across these documents. There's some great documentaries on Andy Warhol that came out of that era, and just absolutely, like I said, I'm a people person, so I tend to watch documentaries on people's lives and see how people do things in their life, and how they make choices, and how they end up in circumstances. Well, the Whitaker family had a documentary done on them as well. And if I can find that documentary, I will link it in my description below. You can make a difference, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of my world. For those of you who are really pissed off about what happened to the Whitakers, because you too have been following them. You too were introduced to them by Mark Leda, and you too have seen the circus over the last few years that has come on YouTube. YouTubers have turned the Whitaker family into a sideshow, into a circus attraction, and they are not. They are human beings. They are a family that was on their property, lived there all their lives, 70 some odd years. They were born there. They were planning on passing there. Much of their family before them has passed on the property and born there, passed there, and some pretty dirty, rotten YouTubers decided to turn that family into a sideshow attraction. But not only that, they've accepted money, they've accepted merchandise, they've accepted gifts that are supposed to go to the Whitaker family. And in the case of Eric Carroll and Patrick Roark, they promised a home, a new home to be built. And they started removing the Whitakers' possessions from the old home because a new home was going to be there. And like I said, Eric got hair across his ass and all that stopped. And he went back to Virginia. No accountability there. And Patrick felt, I don't know, maybe he's a good actor, but he felt devastated that Eric had Adult Protective Services come in and do their job. And like I said, Lorraine and Ray and Timmy were removed and put into Adult Protective Services. They are institutionalized. And Betty and Larry's homes were condemned. And so Patrick took them in and still recorded them and put them on his Facebook page. And it's a messy situation. But the West Virginia State Police would like to talk to you if you have donated any monies to Eric Carroll and Patrick Roark, who are now suspects in a fraud scheme investigation. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of my world, be the kindness that you want to see in the world. Help where you can. Stand up for those that have a meeker voice than you. Do not take advantage of people in need, especially if you're a damn YouTuber. And as always, Carpe Diem, because no one promised you a tomorrow.